Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. This is the spoiler edition, and I can almost promise you that there's going to be spoilers in here. I will not. I'll do my best not to, not to ruin the movie, of course, and I'm not planning on ruining the end of the movie or anything like that. But there's going to be things in here that will be spoilers for some people, probably not so much spoilers for others that have been, avid followers leading up to the premiere of Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. And I wish I had a Superman figure to put here. These are not mine. These are Starscream Girlfriend Scraplets figures. And anybody who's a TF fan is probably going to understand that reference. These belong to our kids. And luckily I have them to have something on screen while I talk about Batman vs. Superman. These figures are, I'm not really reviewing these, but this guy's a weird yellow and green, and he doesn't really move very much. Limited articulation, some at the hips, and a little bit with the arms. Head doesn't. And the other one, you see his elbows bent. His arms move forward and back, and his legs move forward and back, and that's about it. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about the start, we'll say, of building the DC multiverse, and we're going to look at the new film that just came out. I saw an advanced showing last night with Starscream Girlfriend. This is the discussion, the reaction, and the review of Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Okay, welcome back to the channel. This is Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot, and I'm going to ask you guys to please support me by checking me out across social media. Like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff. And check out the Everything Factor. Check out Machinery of Man, please. But we are here, like I said, to talk about Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Okay, there's a lot to talk about with this movie. It is 2.5 hours, and it is a jam-packed 2.5 hours, if not a little bit more, to be perfectly honest with you. There's good, there's bad. I won't say there's ugly, and I won't say there's stellar. This is a pretty middle-of-the-road movie, to be honest with you, in my opinion. It mostly opens with this peculiar sequence, where Bruce Wayne's parents have been killed, and we kind of get to see that origin of the Batman again as almost like a review. Does this movie totally negate the trilogy? No, not really, but it doesn't connect to it. Other than we know that, hey, the Batman is already established in Gotham. But as the sequence goes on, Bruce falls through the ground, and all these bats fly out, and then it seems like the bats are lifting him off the ground, and you think to yourself, this is weird. These bats aren't going to lift him off the ground, and you realize that this is a dream sequence. It is one of many dream sequences in the movie, and each dream sequence to me is more idiotic than the last. I don't see the point of having them in there. I think they were a waste of film and a waste of time, for the most part anyway. Then we go on and we start the story, and there's a lot of early connections, I guess, loose connections to Man of Steel. We move to Metropolis where, we have really Metropolis being introduced to Superman, and I think the connection is to Man of Steel. I didn't go back and watch that film before watching Batman vs. Superman, but I kind of wish I did, because I think it would have refreshed my thinking about what happened with Superman recently, with the incarnation of that character. Is this movie a Superman movie? No, not really. It's more of a Batman movie, but really, it certainly is both of them. There's no doubt about it. The movie goes on, and there are parts of the story that early on almost seem like, okay, why is this happening? But it comes together as the movie goes on. And we are a long time with Bruce and Clark before we really see either of them truly as a representation of Batman or a representation of Superman. And it got to a point where about an hour of the movie had passed, and I was like, okay, it's time to get into these guys being their hero personas. It was a long time going. The casting was okay. I really feel like Ben Affleck was a much better Batman than I expected. It helps that Alfred developed this voice synthesizer for the Batman suits. I kind of missed Lucius Fox. He's not there. I don't know why Alfred has all of these skills, but hey, he does. For Alfred to be the legal guardian of a young Bruce Wayne, I feel like that this adult, older Bruce Wayne is not far enough removed in age from Alfred to believe that Alfred raised him from, being a kid. It seems like they're probably too close together in age. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe you'll see it and be like, no, hey, Alfred was fine. Casting of Lois is fine. Casting of Superman, I had the same thought with Man of Steel. Like, it's okay casting. I do feel like the incarnation of Batman, and I don't put this on Ben Affleck, I put it on the writers of the film. I feel like the incarnation of Batman is a little more violent, I guess. I mean, there are times he uses firearms. It's not quite what you think it is, but it still didn't seem right because the Batman doesn't use guns at all, and it was like, okay, I guess I see why they're doing it. It's for the ease of the battle and stuff, but it didn't strike me as the Batman. He seemed a little more aggressive. He seemed a little more jaded with society, I suppose. And at times that comes across as he's almost seemed like he's lost his way. Starscream Girlfriend had some choice thoughts about the Batman, and I don't think she really liked the incarnation of him. The casting for Lex Luthor, I like the actor, but it was over the top. I don't know if I'd say over the top acting because he acted the role the way it was written. But again, I think it was over the top writing. I'm used to that character being portrayed as, this cunning, devious, overconfident, narcissistic businessman who's conniving and plotting, and he just seemed a tad short of being absolutely insane. I would put him on a level almost with Joker, to be perfectly honest. He wasn't as big and imposing and physical as I would kind of expect a portrayal of Lex Luthor to be. Another connection to Man of Steel is the recovery of General Zod's body, and that was used for testing of kryptonite weapons, basically, that could be used against Superman. There are good questions asked about, hey, the level of power and accountability that Superman has to, human beings. Who's above the law? Is the Batman above the law? Is Superman above the law? Are they accountable to anyone? And I feel like part of Batman's motivation is this sense of, we can't have this super powerful being like Superman really being able to control this world at his whim and his will. At one point, he says like the Superman could totally set this world on fire if he wanted to. We see Superman struggling with his place of, is he actually a Superman or is he just a person? Does he feel like he belongs in this world or is he from another place? So these questions I think are good questions. I don't know if enough time is spent delving into the characters' psyches related to it. And I don't think that the film could do that because there's so much storytelling. I mean, we have the story of Batman versus Superman where Batman sort of has this need, this ego to make Superman accountable, and also I think sort of prove himself that, hey, I can still hang with the biggest boy of them all in a fight. Then we have the whole, Death of Superman storyline where General Zod is used by Lex and a bit of Lex's DNA to be metamorphed into Doomsday. And when Doomsday showed up on scene, I gotta say, that was my oh man moment where I knew that something big is gonna happen here. And we all know, from the comics, 20 years ago that Doomsday killed Superman. So we knew that it was at the very least going to be a big fight. I kind of felt about Doomsday the way I did when Bane came into the Batman movies. I mean, Bane broke the bat in the comics, so you knew Bane was going to be a serious baddie. Doomsday appearing, well, you knew he was going to be a serious baddie. Do I think Doomsday was needed? I felt like in the first part of the movie that the main villain was going to be this Russian guy who, there's a great fight sequence, and then the movie goes on from there, and it seems like, okay, the main bad guy is going to be Lex, who is motivated because, he wants Superman to be accountable, because Superman can't be perfect. He wants Batman to be accountable, so he pits them against each other. I think that when he, pushes Lois Lane off of this roof to summon Superman to him, I think that was very corny. The last we'd seen of Superman, he was talking to the ghost of his dead father in the Arctic, and all of a sudden he's here to save Lois Lane. I thought that was cheesy and corny. It's like, okay, how did he just happen to know that Lois was falling? The actual fight sequence between Batman and Superman, I kind of thought that was going to be the climax of the movie. With, Lex, I guess, being apprehended by the end, and then we go on again to yet another plan, and this is when Doomsday rears his head, and really, in the end, I would say Doomsday is the big baddie of the movie. That's also around the time that we really get, I won't say the first appearance of Wonder Woman, because she's in the film earlier, she's involved, but it's the first appearance of Wonder Woman really as Wonder Woman. She didn't do a lot in the movie, but it was enough to establish her as a character. It's enough to say, hey, Wonder Woman should get her own movie, and then we can flesh her out as a character way better. But the fight sequences, the special effects are amazing. I think the suit for Batman looks a lot better on film than it did in its translation to action figures. There are a couple of smaller fight sequences that are The fight sequence with, the Russian guys, those henchmen, that was so well choreographed. It was very well done. It didn't quite feel like Batman fighting it. The Batman versus Superman fight sequence was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. How Batman was able to face off against Superman, where he got kryptonite from for his weapons, that made sense. It was logical, and the fight sequence was a lot better because of it. Then the whole epic, violent fury that happened with the Doomsday fight sequence, I thought was, yeah, okay, this is what's putting this movie over the top. The movie ends, though, with some loose ends, some questions left. That's for sure. We get introduced to these meta-humans who are, basically the people with the superpowers. And we get, a glimpse based on some files from Lex Luthor, from LexCorp. We get a glimpse at Flash. We get a glimpse at, Aquaman. My guess is we're probably going to get films for each of these characters leading to Justice League. I could be wrong. I really don't know what the plans are for the DC multiverse. Maybe the next film will just be Justice League and they'll all appear in it and be there. I've seen an action figure out for Aquaman, and Aquaman is not really in the film. He appears for a minute underwater in, a film clip. I saw the clip for Flash, and my thinking there, my concern there is that Flash is going to be cast as somebody else in the film. If you have watched the TV show, you already know that somebody plays Flash. We already have an established actor for that role. Either bring him into the movie or tie the TV show into the movie series. Don't recast Flash again. It would be the worst thing I think you could do. The casting for Wonder Woman is fantastic. It was believable. She seemed strong, powerful, confident. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. What else can I say about this? Well, on the good side. The good side is that it's good action. Uh, it had a very gritty sort of Batman Gotham feel more than a light and airy Superman type of feel. Mostly it was good casting. The writing was well, considering they were mixing together, the Batman versus Superman storyline with the death of Superman storyline, or at least, well, the appearance of Doomsday storyline. I won't say what happens there. And what looks like an origin story for Justice League. It seems like all three of those come together. But you got to realize that this is, going to be a different incarnation of Batman and a different incarnation of Lex than really you have come to kind of know and love over the years, I think. The bad. It is so long. You're almost tired by the end of it. It is so long. There were times where it felt like it could have cut off, and you're going to walk away, I think, at the end of this movie thinking there are loose ends and there are questions that still need to be answered. Obviously, this is leading to a sequel because it kind of has to. There's, a particularly big question that to me seems like the only way it can be answered and handled is to do a movie to itself. And I say that because I know the way the story for that particular arc goes in the comics. There's definitely some surprises in it. Of course, a couple of them I've told you here. So, I told you this was going to be a spoiler-filled one. It was fun to see. I'm glad that I went. I think that, myself and Starscream Girlfriend had a good time there. Is it a 10 out of 10? Is it, knocked right out of the ballpark? No, I would give this a 7 out of 10. It had its good, it had its bad. There was nothing that really stood out as super duper stellar, but there's nothing that stood out to me as super duper terrible either. It's a fun ride. I would suggest to you watch Man of Steel or rewatch Man of Steel first. Do that this afternoon. Go to the movie tonight. Hey, enjoy yourself. You don't need to have seen Man of Steel. The movie is fine without seeing that, but I think it will just refresh you on a couple of things. Anyway, like I said, in the end, it was a 7 out of 10 for me. This has been, my reaction to that first film in what I assume is going to be the expansion of the DC multiverse. It is also my first reaction, my first movie reaction video, and hopefully it went pretty good. By all means, let me know what you guys thought of it in the comment section. I'd love to know if you liked it, if you hated it, if you're interested to see where this multiverse goes. Here's what I'll say. Because I walked away feeling like there has to be more story here, there has to be more places that this can go, the onus is on the writers now. Because either this multiverse can expand and become something really fantastic, or they'll do a poor job with it and it's going to fall flat on its face and not seem interconnected, and you will say, wow, what a barrel of disappointment. It is a good, strong start, but it certainly needs more. Anyway, until next time, folks, thanks for watching, and go to the movies. Enjoy yourself and have fun. Thanks for watching. See you next time.